When you think about earthquakes, what normally comes to mind are places like California and Alaska, or some far-off distant land. But certainly not right here in the state of Tennessee, not right here in our own backyard. But the truth is, the largest earthquakes in the history of North America occurred on the western edge of the state of Tennessee. Geologists call this area the New Madrid Fault Zone. Its nickname is the Sleeping Giant. It's 20 times the size of the San Andreas Fault Zone. It's located in the central portion of the United States. It covers a 5-state region. It's the home of millions of people. It's the central economic hub for the entire nation. Some of the nation's largest distributors and manufacturers are located there. It's the heartland of America, and it's also the Bible Belt. The experts are saying this sleeping giant may be showing signs of waking up. Scientists, geologists, and seismologists from all over the globe are expressing concern over the vulnerability of this region. Should there be another earthquake equal to or greater than those of the past, the devastation would be cataclysmic and of biblical proportion. In other words, the recovery process would take decades, and obviously things would never be the same again. On December 16, 1811 through February the 7th, 1812, within a 54-day time frame, 4 major earthquakes struck the center of the United States along the banks of the Mississippi River, on the western edge of the state of Tennessee. The first earthquake occurred at 2:15 a.m. on December the 16th, 1811, and registered at a level 8.2. Through the early morning hours, there were a total of 27 aftershocks, and 6 hours later at 8:15 a.m., a second earthquake of the same magnitude as the first struck again, registering at a level 8.2. The riverbed under the Mississippi opened and closed with fissures, causing massive tidal waves, and reversed the flow of the mighty Mississippi, destroying everything in its path. A third quake occurred on January 23, 1812, and registered an 8.1 and caused ground warping, fissures, severe landslides, ejections, and caving in of stream banks. But on February the 7th, 1812, the earth shook like never before, with twice the intensity and energy of the previous quakes, registering at a level 9, and this quake was felt in 23 states and 1,000 miles away. The massive quake occurred at the future site of what is now the location of Memphis, Tennessee. There was uplift along the reverse fault segment that created waterfalls on the Mississippi River. A surge of water went upstream and created the Reelfoot Lake, and at the same time forming a depression that would later become Lake Caddo in northeastern Texas. It moved furniture and knocked down chimneys in Jefferson, Indiana. Homes were destroyed all along the Mississippi Valley, from Louisiana to as far north as Cincinnati, Ohio. In Lebanon, Ohio, residents fled their homes. In Missouri, people claimed the shaking lasted for 12 minutes. In Kentucky, it disrupted the flow of the river at the Kentucky Bend. On the other side of the Appalachian mountain chain, it sloshed well water and shook houses and knocked plaster off the walls of towns like Columbia and Charleston, South Carolina. The region settled down until 1895, when another quake struck at level 6.0. And since then, things have been relatively quiet, even though there are hundreds of small earthquakes registered each year in the region, most of which are too small to be felt. In an article published in USA Today on August 8, 2005, a spokesperson for the U.S. Geological Survey was quoted as saying, "Even if earthquakes happen somewhat less frequently here, they can cause damage over a much bigger area. That's because seismic waves travel farther and very cold, very old, and hard crust under the central USA. Compared with the 1906 earthquake that all but destroyed San Francisco, the New Madrid quake had strong shaking over about 20 times as much area." He states further that the USGS calculates a 40% chance of a major earthquake of magnitude 6.0 or greater within the next 35 years, and a 10% chance of a quake the size of the ones that made the New Madrid famous. The USGS was also quoted as saying a repeat today of the earthquakes of 1811, 1812 would cause widespread loss of human life and billions of dollars in property damage. But not everybody agrees. A team from Northwest University, along with Andrew Newman, now of the University of Georgia, studied the New Madrid fault zone in 1998 and disagree with the possibility of a repeat of the 1811-1812 earthquakes, citing the region has been quiet since the last quake of 1895 that registered at a level 6.0. Newman was quoted as saying, "The region has been quiet ever since." But that's how it got its name, the sleeping giant. The truth is, nobody knows for certain if this giant will wake up, and we cannot afford to throw caution to the wind. In recent years, geologists have been able to study the San Andreas Fault because it lies above the surface of the Earth. But the New Madrid fault zone lies deep within the Earth's crust, and its dynamics are largely unknown. And recent research now suggests that thick sediments of rock, like that of the New Madrid fault zone, may magnify the shock wave from an earthquake and not dampen them. According to geologists, the seismic cycle for earthquakes is 200 years. That doesn't mean that there's an exact time frame that we can know for certain that an event will occur, but it is a reference point that we cannot afford to ignore. When it comes to earthquakes, time is not on our side. Nothing on earth can make you feel more hopeless than the raw powers of nature when they rise up against humanity. So you must be saying to yourself, is there really anything I can do about it? The answer is yes. Your chances of survival may depend on how well you were informed and how well you perform after the event takes place. The 1989 earthquake of San Francisco Bay killed 63 people and did $6 billion in damage. The truth is, there were a lot of people that day at the World Series baseball game when the quake occurred. Had they been somewhere else, who knows what might have happened. One shouldn't have to be reminded that there are more than the laws of nature at play when it comes to the survival of humanity. And somehow humanity has always managed to survive. Remember, his eye is on the sparrow. The USA Today report further stated that FEMA has started a catastrophic planning initiative for the Memphis area, and the USGS is mapping the geology in cities affected most by the fault zone and are most prone to quake damage. Earthquake 101 seminars in cities within the zone are being conducted, and several states have enacted legislation to educate the public about the dangers of earthquakes and raise public awareness. New earthquake building standards like the ones in California are being adopted in order to assure the safety of the public. Federal grants are available through FEMA for the design and refurbishing of buildings to withstand catastrophes. And all of this is well and good, but don't depend on the government for immediate help. They will be as paralyzed as everyone else, especially if this event happens in a 5-state region, taking out bridges, roads, railways, the electric grid, and communication. Dams could break and nuclear plants could be affected along with toxic spills, and this could dramatically intensify the danger level involved. Science and technology are working as fast as they can to help us to understand more about earthquakes, and may someday be able to warn us in advance of impending doom. GPS technology can tell us if survey markers are moving as little as a half an inch, indicating that pressure is building up along a fault zone, giving us advance warning that an earthquake may be imminent. There is speculation by some scientists that our solar system is entering what is called the galactic plane, an event that occurs every 36,000 years. The gravitational pull of the sun and other planets as they line up may have a dramatic impact on the Earth's core, causing volcanic eruptions and triggering massive earthquakes. Albert Einstein warned us about the theory of a polar shift, where the plates of the Earth rotate on its axis. Some scientists think that the state of Alaska was at one time somewhere near the Earth's equator.